It's time for some double overtime and more matchups across the tier with playoff tickets to be punched.
Including Class C, where Susquehanna Valley hosted Windsor. Both teams 1-1, and the winner of this game makes it to the playoffs. The loser turns to the calendar in the winter sports season.
Black Knights heading to Susquehanna Valley and a matchup on the river. It's Windsor's Matthew Boyce finding the outside and getting tackled just short of the goal line. But no worry, Ashton Werner would do the rest of the work. He puts in the quarterback sneak here to go up 12-0. Sabres looking to get back in at the deep ball, but it's Tyson Schmidt on defense. Black Knights guys going both ways here. Werner, we're calling Schmidt and Werner, Schmidt and Werner. Werner gets the sack coming from the backside. And then Werner again here on offense. Just making everybody miss, taking it himself, finding the corner, finding the end zone, and finding the win, and finding the playoffs as the Black Knights win 47-14.
Over to Memorial Stadium, where the Wolverines are putting on a show before the show as they host Whitney Point. And from the word jump, first play from scrimmage, Colson Keithley takes it 50-plus yards to the house with his buddy Xavier Watson, and he's there for the fist bump on the way into the end zone. Don't worry, Watson would get his involved. Mama, there goes that man, Xavier Watson. One-handed interception. He'd bring it back to the house, but it would be called back for penalty. INT still stands, but they'd make up for it. Ben Shaw going to who else? Xavier Watson just shrugging people off. He gets it inside the 20, and that will lead to this. Easy walk-in touchdown for Fletcher Good. And Good, yeah, he's pretty good. He'll bounce this one outside and weave through traffic for 6. Waverly winning it 42-10 over Whitney Point.
All right, one more matchup in Class C, and this a big one. Winner gets into the playoffs. Lansing taking care of business over Dryden at home. The Lions win 33-0. Sorry, the Bobcats win 33-0 over the Lions. They make it into the playoffs for the first time in 7 years.
The playoff matchups set for Class C are now set. Shenango Forks wins the East Division and the home game as they will take on Lansing on their half of the bracket. The top seed in the West, Waverly, will host Windsor after the Black Knights clinched tonight.